Okay, I did address this a bit in my workout, but I didn't really address it to the extent that I want to address it. Okay, I'm giving you a bit of an example now. I spoke about it a bit in my workout about the length-tension relationship with an example of leg press. So what is the length-tension relationship actually? So the length-tension relationship is a relationship between the length of your sarcomere, which is the basic functional unit of a muscle. So the sarcomere basically is what allows the muscle to contract and relax. So I drew out a bit of a graph over here and I'll explain it for you. What I'm basically going to do now, I'm just going to show you a graph to explain the length-tension relationship. As you can see on the x-axis over here we've got tension, and on the y-axis we've got percentage of length of the sarcomere. So at a shorter length, so when you basically flexed all the way like this, there'll be less interaction between the actin and myosin filaments. So actin and myosin is basically what interacts and allows the sarcomere to slide in between the Z lines, which is this illustrated over here, this purple over here. When the muscle is too short, the sarcomere actually is pressing against the Z line, so you won't be able to generate as much tension. Over here, when the muscle is, say, optimally flexed, so just in that, where you can optimally flex your muscle in that range of motion, so it's not too fully extended, not too shortly contracted, just in that optimal range, that's when you've got the most interaction between actin and myosin, and that'll obviously lead to the most tension development in the muscle. And then over here, when your muscle is too far lengthened, so for instance in the leg press, if you're locking out your legs after every single rep, your Z lines over here, which is the purple, will actually be pulled away from the sarcomere, and there'll be almost no cross bridge formation, so no interaction of the actin and myosin with the sarcomere. So there'll be literally no tension development in the muscle. So what you basically got to do is you've got to try and work in an optimal range where you can keep the tension on the muscle in order to generate the most force. In so doing, this will obviously stimulate the most growth, because as we know is time under tension will allow the muscle to go under more stress and obviously lead to more growth. So I've given you guys a bit of an example over here. So if you have to flex your wrist like this, wrist like this, and try and squeeze your fist as hard as you can, you'll feel that you can't squeeze it as tightly as you want to. But in a neutral position like this, you'll be able to squeeze it very tight. And if you've extended it like this, which is too far past, so there'll be very little cross bridge formation, and you try and squeeze it, you'll feel you can hardly squeeze it tight because there's no interaction of the actin and myosin in the sarcomere. So just to go through that again, flexing your wrist, so obviously you're shortening the space between the sarcomere, you can't squeeze as hard. Optimal range of motion, in a neutral position, you can squeeze very hard, and extending your wrist when you've gone past the length there where optimal range of motion is over here, you can hardly squeeze it at all. So that is just an example of the length-tension relationship in a muscle.